1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz.
Welcome back to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast. And in case you're just joining us, you're listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast with Emmy, Hikins, and Trevor.
You may have to think about the drum fills you do, which are a bit different. But the actual drumming, you can do it and you can sing a song as you do it, as some drummers do. But anyone starting drumming will find it almost impossible to do that. So again, it's an example of when we can multitask. And indeed, playing a guitar, when you learn, your fingers won't go automatically to the chord places and it's a struggle. When you're experienced, you can sing, you can play along and not think about the guitar, because that's the way it is. So they are good examples of multitasking. But in reality, in truth, it is a myth because, as I say, the brain won't let us do more than one thing at a time.
Right.
And the brain is people say, well, where does multitasking come in the brain? How does it do it? And without going into the operation of the brain, that's for another day. It's apparently in the prefrontal cortex, a region at the front of the brain, which then looks at the task and allocates the steps within the brain, which part does which part, and then responds accordingly. So, that becomes ever more complex, but it still comes to the same conclusion. It won't let us do more than one thing simultaneously or think one thing simultaneously. Now, what is the point of all this? Well, maybe it's good to have an understanding that we're not able really to multitask, not very easily. And it's not necessarily a good thing that we do, because often, certainly if you're in a work setting or indeed any setting, if you can only really give full focus to one thing. And therefore, if you're trying to juggle, what we really do, researchers say what we're really doing is task switching, not multitasking, but task switching. So we go from one thing to another and really not giving any of them necessarily sufficient attention. And therefore mistakes can be made. If we try to do too many things at once, we lower productivity of how it all works. So maybe an understanding that we can't easily multitask, and even when we think we can, because we're driving perhaps or whatever else that may be automatic, we still have to have a mind to the fact that something could crop up there which would interrupt that automated situation. We talk of autopilot, and we know that aeroplanes, once they get up higher, they put on autopilot. So the pilots can actually, where they're monitoring the instruments, they can talk about this, that and the other quite safely, because the autopilot is doing the heavy lifting, literally, on the aeroplane. So, we can say multitasking happens to an extent, but to a large extent, it really doesn't, and it's a myth. So that's my thinking on multitasking. Not necessarily a bad thing, but just a realization that our limitations in what we can think is very much, we are enshrined in the present moment, aren't we? We cannot ever escape the present moment. On any given time, we're stuck in that moment. We might think about what's happened, we might think about the future, but we're always in the present moment. And it is that limited span in the present moment is why the brain only lets us focus on one thing at a time and not more than one. As I say, if I asked you to think about what I'm saying and at exactly the same time to think about something else entirely, something you've done this morning, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. I think
we're going to take a short break now. We're back shortly. You've been listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show with Trevor and Emmy.
The Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast is looking for sponsors. If you're a company out there looking to spread the word about the products and services you provide, please get in touch with Deepstuff Radio Podcast on info@deepstuffrecords.com, or to use the contact form on our website to contact us, please visit radio.deepstuffrecords.com. Also, if you're looking to get involved on the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast, reach out via our Deepstuff Radio Facebook page. Thank you.
Wednesday afternoon. Hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. The leader of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything Cuz does. And fund the aim of everything Cuz does.